Have you ever thought about why so many people still play Melee? To some, it's the glory in competition, the achievement in progress that keeps them going. To others, it's simply a love for the game itself. But nowadays, when it comes down to it, I think most of us realize it's really all about the community. We've really come a long way. At first, the community was about the game. The community grew primarily due to the game itself being recognized as great. But I think we've reached a new stage, one where many people play the game largely as a means to stay connected to the community. In this way, the game has become about the community. And there are surely problems with the community, but when you find a small sect of it that welcomes you, that's something worth cherishing. You treasure that. And that's why I regularly make the 4-hour drive across 2 states to visit the city of Champaign, Illinois, like 3 or 4 times a year. And I couldn't be more excited to do so this weekend for the 20th installment of their ever-growing House of Paign series. With this video, I actually wanted to share a bit about what makes these events so special to so many of us in the Midwest Melee community. By the end of this video, I believe that you too will become quite excited about the event, and if you stick with me through the end of this video, you'll be glad that you did. For this weekend's event, there's currently over 140 Melee single entrants registered, including over 10 top 100 players. It's actually going to be the most top 100 players to ever attend a House of Paign event, which is great, but how did we get here? First, you may recognize Champaign, Illinois as the home of Melee's longest running tournament series, Show Me Your Moves. And believe it or not, that series dates all the way back to spring of 2004. I looked this up. Apparently, old school Falcon legend Darkrain was even in attendance at the very first Show Me Your Moves, which is awesome. It would be roughly 10 years later before the very first House of Paign would be held on October 25th, 2014. I dug up its original Facebook event made by founding TO Alexander Mirza, which stated, "This tournament is going to blow you all out of the water." And that's a pretty bold proclamation, but as far as I can tell, Mirza delivered on that promise, because the success of this event meant that it would be held regularly about 2 or 3 times a semester ever since. 1 year after the original House of Paign, the 6th installment was held, which saw not just top players from Chicago and Indiana traveling to compete, but also Norwalk's S2J. The series was starting to earn a bit of a reputation as one that regularly drew in high-level talent from the Midwest and beyond. It was right around that time that TO and commentator Wang Cheng took charge of both of Champaign's flagship tournament series, and things continued to improve. Just a few months later, House of Paign 8 saw 96 Melee singles entrants with some pretty recognizable competitors in top 8 even today. Current head TO Blentech began taking on the bulk of the responsibilities around the 12th installment, which was like the beginning of 2017, with Wang Cheng still involved for a time. By the end of that year, they really started hitting their stride, with House of Paign 15 being a great example that saw a record 113 entrants and, for the first time, 2 top 100 players. What's really cool to me about this particular event is that, although at the time just 2 of the entrants were ranked top 100, 8 of those entrants are now currently ranked top 100 from the 2018 season. I think that just goes to show just how important this series has become as a gathering of up-and-coming Midwest talent. Indeed, with House of Paign 15, they started to see a wider sample of top Midwest talent, with players traveling from states like Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and even Tennessee. In fact, Blentech shared that they've brought in players from at least 10 different states for every House of Paign since, which is incredible. It's clear that Champaign's leadership has done a great job of building off of these successes. And later in the video, we are going to take a closer look at some of the more recent iterations of the series. Today, the House of Paign series has become widely known across the Midwest for a number of things beyond regularly drawing in the best Midwest players, including an incredibly spacious venue, that venue being the University of Illinois Student Union. This space greatly improves the quality of life when simply walking around near setups. And speaking of setups, there's always plenty of them for warming up, friendlies, money matches. There's multiple simultaneously run streams, allowing for the recording of most of the hypest tournament sets. House of Paign has been actually partnering with Melee every day since at least early 2016, guaranteeing a consistently high-quality broadcast to a growing audience. They also offer free snacks and beverages, a seriously underrated perk in my opinion. And it's just seriously well run by experienced and passionate community veterans. But perhaps most of all, I think Champaign itself is just such a welcoming and friendly community. That's just what I think of when I think of Champaign. And for all these reasons, the House of Paign series has become the one Midwest quarterly event I refuse to miss despite the drive. Now, before we preview House of Paign 20, I really want to take a detour and discuss the most recent series installment. Because House of Paign 19, I've attended a lot of these. To date, this was my favorite installment of my favorite series, and for very good reason. I mean, it made such waves in the community that it was even featured in a Monday Morning Marth article. So what happened that was so amazing? Well, for one, it set a series record with 166 entrants and drew in 7 top 100 players. But to really appreciate House of Paign 19, let's enjoy the highlights of Melee Singles Top 8. Starting off loser's side of Top 8, we had Cobb versus Dreffin. Cobb, a Peach main, is Kentucky's best player and was recently ranked 94th worldwide, but despite having played his often static teammate countless times before, he had yet to take a set off of Dreffin, Ohio's best player and ranked 60th in the world. In the end, the set went in Dreffin's favor 3-0, with Cobb taking 7th place. On the other side of losers, we had Rishi versus Prince Abu, and what a journey for Rishi to get here. After being upset in winners round 1, Rishi meticulously battled his way through the losers bracket, including a narrow victory over O'Reilly in a thrilling Game 5 set. Abu had just beaten 2 of the best Champaign Foxes in PRZ and Shabo to get here, but it was Rishi who took Game 1 with a JV2. Rishi then persisted through a battle of attrition on Dreamland to get to this last stock situation for Game 2. Again, it was Rishi who won to take a 2-0 lead in the set. Now, Abu would go on to win the next Dreamland counterpick, but he would also need to win this last stock in Game 4 to stay alive. In the end, it was Rishi who continued his already impressive losers run with a 3-1 victory. On to winners. This side of winner semis was seeded to be M2K versus Rishi, so no one could have predicted the set that would eventually unfold. Mewtwo King's sub goal to go all Pichu and Rishi's aforementioned early loss gave us instead a battle of Indiana's Rick versus Northeast Ohio's Boyd. Fox main Rick hadn't dropped a single game thus far, defeating Chicago's Spacey Just Joe, Michael, and Shabo along the way. But what was most surprising to many at the time was learning that he had done so going all Falco. Boyd's run included wins over Kels and O'Reilly. Having dodged Mewtwo King and Rishi, this set ended up being a huge opportunity for these top Midwest players to reach winners finals of the largest House of Paign to date. Rick kept the last 2 games close, but with a 3-0 victory, Boyd would be guaranteed top 3 at one of the most stacked House of Paigns ever. The other side of winner semis was much more predictable, as the event's 2nd and 3rd seeds faced off. Unfortunately, this KGH versus LOD set is the only top 8 set of the tournament for which the VOD is unavailable. Nevertheless, KGH took it in a Game 5 set to move on to winners finals against Boyd. Back to losers and Rick, who, after losing to Boyd with Fox, would again pull out the bird for his losers match against Dreffin. Historically, Dreffin has done quite well against the very best Midwest Falcos, including both Ginger and newly ranked Cleveland Bird, The Real Thing. And honestly, as a Falco main from the same region as Dreffin, I was quite confident that he'd make quick work of Rick's secondary. Midway through Game 1, Dreffin barely scoops under Rick's laser, then easily punishes Rick's somewhat questionable side B to take the lead. But Rick immediately reads the full jump from the corner, then punishes Dreffin's favorite aerial to force this tough position. After the shine, Rick chooses to tech chase with Dare and wisely maintains center stage before calling out yet another full jump from the corner to even the score. Moments later, Rick's well-placed laser sniped Dreffin's descent into shine. Dreffin's SDI would allow for a brief escape, but Rick continued pursuit and pushed Dreffin off stage again. Dreffin's retaliation gets hard countered by crouch cancel, and he should be dead here, but for good measure, Rick lands a second F smash to shift the momentum entirely. Rick would go on to take the first game, leading us to Fountain for Game 2. Dreffin has a slight lead, and he ends up doing absolutely everything he can to hold on to it, but he ends up smacking a low percent crouching Rick yet again. Next stock, Dreffins regain the lead, but whiffs in Rick's face, who tech chases into a down tilt that would not kill thanks to Fountain's low platform and higher ceiling. Dreffin with another chance for extra credit here, and he gets a hold of Rick, the best case scenario for Ohio's best player. He quickly racks up over 60% and covers 2 options to no avail. Rick stops the bleeding and hits a lightning fast shine bear to even up the stock count 2-2. Same stock, Dreffin lands his classic full jump dare and attempts a follow-up, but Rick hits a clutch OMS attack to begin a brilliant freeform reversal, complete with edge cancel and push-off technology, to steal the lead and the momentum once again. Dreffin would persevere to bring us to last stock in Game 2, but would it be enough? Here we go. Rick runs right at him and throws him off stage to then go bravely far off stage himself for extra damage, a recurring theme of the set. Rick maintained faith in his vertical punish game that had gotten him this far, which continued to work wonders. With one more fairly risky ledge hop bear, Rick ended game 2 with a JV2. Early in game 3, Rick misses an attempted turnaround laser from top platform to throw away his first stock just 8 seconds into the match, but moments later he stylishly slow fall bears through needles to initiate this sequence. This on-reaction jump cancel shine and unbelievably good fortune on that down air all but erased Rick's earlier flub. Dreffin's spacing and stage control in this next clip were well on display. After landing a knockdown, he keeps the pressure on relentlessly, earning a full stock lead towards the end of this must-win game. And with this lead, Dreffin would push the set to a game 4, leading us to Rick's counterpick, Yoshi's Story. And not 30 seconds in, Rick was already up a full stock before swiftly daring up and around Dreffin's down smash. I mean, what excellent drift there. Rick then stuck to his shine dare combo trees before catching Dreffin's recovery with more offstage aggression, leaving Dreffin with 2 stocks and a mountain to climb. Later on, Dreffin throws Rick's fresh stock off stage and waits out the air dodge, but Rick lands safely, and no! Dreffin SDs down to his potential last stock of the tournament, and this is looking pretty rough. But moments later, Dreffin gets another chance and waits for and easily punishes Rick's lackluster recovery. So at just 33%, this was not quite over yet. That said, Dreffin needed another opening and he couldn't afford all this damage, trying to regain some stage control, but Rick was aiming to end this. But all of a sudden, Rick is beaten to the ledge and could be dead here, yet down smash could not trade with Firebird, allowing Rick some momentary relief. Dreff finds another grab and needs a convert here. He digs deep and calls Rick's side B out completely to will himself back into the game for a last stock situation. At last, invincibility and obtains another grab that could mean everything. Rick escapes mostly unscathed before crouch canceling his way to a shine upper that would seal the set, 3-1 for Indiana, despite an admirable last stand from Dreffin, who would walk away with 5th place. In the end, I was absolutely blown away by how well Rick's Falco had played. He got so many little things right that resulted in huge punishes and conversions, and now he'd wait to play the winner of Laud and Rishi in losers semis. Speaking of, it's 2 brothers. Everyone loves a sibling rivalry, and this set did not disappoint. These two actually played a month earlier in Losers Top 64 of the Big House 8, a set which Rishi won Game 5 last hits, but could he do it a second time? To start the set, Laud knocks Rishi to the ledge and pulls a turnip, which is thrown back, but Rishi ends up inadvertently grabbing it again when he presumably wanted to fair, and Laud has this edge guard down to a science to take the first stock of the set. After Rishi grinds his way back, he ends up throwing Laud off stage, who, instead of wiggling out, maintains tumble and drifts to ledge, teching into this double jump air dodge that was as subtle as it was cool. At this point, Rishi throws Laud and nearly tippers this down smash, then SDIs well enough to escape a bigger punish. He then catches Laud's roll in, but overextends again. Fortunately for him, he reaches ledge before swinging for the fences and securing a sizable lead late game 1. But just seconds later, Laud connected a crouch cancel down smash that would turn into so much more with turnip throw, dare, and fair to seal the stock, and great movement from Laud to weave back just before Rishi's up B. Now, after some brief Mr. Saturn shenanigans, we saw a tense last stock with Laud trapping Rishi in the corner, and though Rishi landed a fair for some breathing room, Laud perfectly timed a fair of his own to punish Rishi's second attempt and seal game 1. Rishi had a great start on his counterpick by suffocating Laud along the ends of the stage. Here, Laud has no room to work with and is forced to guess right or take damage repeatedly. And when Laud did try to take a bit of stage back, Rishi called him out into a Ken combo for a quick stock. Later, Laud had erased much of the deficit and here managed to slowly but surely catch Rishi with a cunning yet disappointingly ineffective dash attack, but here he drifts in to cross up Rishi, and now it was Laud with center stage, who quickly took to bullying his older brother. Laud stayed on the offensive here and then called out Rishi's tendency to catch turnouts with that well-timed strike. Shortly after, Laud would take Rishi's second stock and the lead. Despite this, Rishi would pull ahead late game 2 and landed this tomahawk grab to force ideal stage positioning. He patiently grabs Laud again before mixing up aggression in the ensuing interaction for another Ken combo that nearly evened the set count. Laud barely hung on and would continue to fight, but ended up off stage before long. Rishi waited just long enough for Laud to leave a shield to end game 2 in style. Unsurprisingly, Lod took Rishi to Dreamland for Game 3, a game that lasted nearly 6 minutes. In the clutch, Rishi somehow spaced around Lod's fair and jabs to win a bit of stage, but Lod reacted with an Om's attack into jab to halt Rishi from leaving the corner. Recovering, Rishi finally nicks Lod with an early up B, but Lod retained stage control still. He waits and reacts to the roll-in, then skillfully snipes Rishi's double jump, but is barely late to grab ledge and nearly loses the game for it. But Rishi swung too soon, allowing Lod to punish and restock. Rishi likes to go to the ledge and takes his time, but accidentally tournament winners, and Lod takes Game 3. Now, with his back to the wall, Rishi elected to take us back to where the set started, and again, it was a nail-biter. Here, Lod was prepared for Rishi's conservative and patient drift to the lip of the stage, earning himself the juggle that would bring Rishi to possibly his last stock of House of Paign 19. Rishi would battle back to a last hit scenario, and seemed firmly in control towards the end, but Lod's YOLO fair enabled him to reset neutral. The patience shown by these two players in Game 4's final interactions kept the crowd at the edge of their seats, until Lod punished Rishi's side B, setting him well off stage. And with a well-timed get-up, Lod's down smash was just in time to win yet another close game and the set 3-1. He had earned the right to play Rick in losers semis, but first and finally, we had winners finals. KJH versus, of all people, Boyd. Ohio's final remaining representative had already staged quite the winner's run, having beaten Spacey's Kels and Rick 3-1 and 3-0 respectively, but this was KJH. I know he's getting wobbled right now, but truth be told, the real question at the time was, could Boyd even take a game? With one wobble in the books, Boyd had earned a small lead, but after grabbing KJH out of thin air, all of a sudden, Boyd was in a really good position to take Game 1 of the set. He'd barely been touched by KJH thus far, but okay, next stock. Boyd is doing great so far, but again, this is KJH, the best Fox in the Midwest. As somebody with a lot of experience in this matchup, I can tell you that sometimes you just kind of need to warm up against Ices and remember that... Oh my god, what the hell is happening right now? How has Boyd gotten 3 wobbles before having even taken 50%? I mean, in the moment before the set started, I really doubted Boyd was favored to take a game in the set, but right now he's one grab away from a 4-stock in Game 1. KJH would shine Nana to her death, and soon he'd kill Popo as well. But the damage had already been done. Boyd earned a game lead over the top-ranked player left in the bracket, and in doing so showed that this set may end up being a bit more interesting than we originally anticipated. So KGH starts off Game 2 by sticking tightly to the platforms and picking his spots very carefully. It became clear that he was consciously choosing to respect Boyd significantly more than last game, and it worked well upon implementation. Next stock, Boyd gets a knockdown but gets nicked by KGH's get-up attack. KGH then shines Nana, grabs Popo, and throws into Nana for a possible kill. KGH squanders it but soon finds another shine before inadvertently shine spiking Popo beneath Battlefield. Despite going down 4 stocks to 2, Boyd found 2 back-to-back wobbles to even the score right away. But in the end, KGH regained momentum and took Game 2 without losing another stock. But just how well could KGH handle Boyd without the use of platforms? He started Game 3 by throwing Popo into Nana again, this time executing the shine, but Boyd overextends trying to save her anyway and loses his entire stock because of it. KGH was looking more and more dominant in the set as time went on. Undeterred, Boyd bounced back with this wobble setup. Back to even, KJH separates and perfectly kills Nana, just in time to pull off this spot dodge shine into side B that you really never see nowadays, but man, it looks sick. Boyd did end up racking a ton of damage on KJH without Nana, and even ended up taking the stock first. After evening things back up, KJH really started cooking with this sequence, picking just the perfect moves to do away with Nana, while also pushing Boyd closer to death percent, and it wouldn't be long before he'd take a full stock lead in this pivotal Game 3. With Boyd down to 1 Nana, he desperately needed a grab before taking too much damage, but KJH proved impossible to catch, and his punish game wouldn't let up either. He opts for down throw here into an insanely effective turnaround up tilt with great target switching to buy even more time to combo Nana into oblivion. And though KJH's F smash did kill Nana, Boyd was able to make him pay for it. He takes ledge only to ledge dash on a stage and turnaround F smash KJH for the kill. But with just Sopo and already near death percent, Boyd had his work cut out for him, and he wasn't able to get anything started before KJH connected this weak nair to up smash for his second game win in a row. So despite an insanely impressive Game 1, the underdog dream was starting to fade away as reality set in. KJH maintained momentum to start Game 4, doing away with Nana and nair playing up smashing Popo for another early lead. Hope for Ohio was scarce around this time, as KJH's decision-making, spacing, and execution were just on point. But just when it looked like he was about to extend his lead even further, Boyd caught him at the edge of FD trying to finish Nana. He then quickly saved her while ledge-hogging KJH for a huge 2-stock swing. Moments later, Boyd would punish an undershot grab attempt with a 0% wobble, which can be greatly demoralizing. Now, Boyd had his first lead in quite some time, and the burden of approaching rested on KJH's shoulders yet again. The Michigan native would tie the stock count, but fell into Boyd's arms in this skirmish, leading to the tech chase that Boyd guessed right on, resulting in Boyd's second 0-to-death in a row. Boyd was now 1 stock away from forcing a Game 5, and with this jab reset, he would do just that. So here we go, Game 5. KJH took Boyd to Dreamland for all the marbles and killed Nana pretty early. He also got Boyd off stage in what should have been a rinse and repeat kill scenario, but as fate would have it, KJH's bear phantomed and Boyd reclaimed center stage. Regardless, Boyd struggled getting anything started with Sopo and lost the stock soon afterwards. Next stock, KJH tanks a jab and attempts to cross up Popo to kill Nana, but Boyd catches him with a down smash and then waits out KJH's recovering Nair to set up for his first kill. Later, KJH with a stock lead and in a moment a chance to put the game away, gets a shine, goes off stage, but no, Boyd YOLO up airs to save both climbers, but he wasn't in the clear yet. Nana barely lands before KJH's get up attack to regain her jump, but Boyd struggles to regain enough footing to stave off this assault and is committed to the corner. Eventually, KJH takes the easy opening and is now incredibly close to avoiding the upset and sending Boyd to losers. He needed to make the rest of the Sopo stock count. He finds a grab and sends KJH off stage, follows the side B recovery, but KJH will escape after taking 1 hit. Now, after a brief battle along the platforms, we're back to neutral, or are we? Boyd calls out the lasers and comes crashing in from the other side of the stage to bring it back, but just how much more value could he squeeze out of the Sopo? As it turns out, not much, as the war of attrition favored KJH heavily. Boyd now down to his last stock of winners, having come all this way, and now just 2 grabs away. Could he pull it off? Here he comes, and there's one! That is a wobble, and we are going to last stock in a Game 5 winners final set. Ohio versus Michigan, 1 stock takes all. It truly gets no better than this. And here we go. KJH goes in with invincibility, doesn't get much. He eventually backs off and pulls out the gun. He's starting to play a lot more like the beginning of Game 2, refusing to commit, sticking to the platforms. How will Boyd respond? As of now, he also seems mostly unwilling to commit to much, and just so much respect between these players. Who will strike first? KJH desperately trying to land a safe shine to get some sort of separation. Boyd sticking to the center of the stage, opting for mostly safe aerials. KJH runs in with the shine, jumps up, gets clipped by Boyd's up air, rolls in, gets caught! And Boyd would take the set 3-2 over KJH in an absolutely stunning upset victory. Keep in mind, at the time, Boyd was completely unranked worldwide. We know him today as being ranked, but a lot of that is because of this very tournament, along with so many other amazing results from him, always exceeding expectations, and wow, Boyd makes it to grand finals. But first, back to losers. And spoiler alert, loser semis would not last nearly as long as winners finals. After Rick's impressive win over Dreffen and having just seen one of the biggest recent upsets in Midwest Melee, a part of me believed that Rick could overcome the world's best active Peach main, but understandably Laud would have other plans. Nearing the middle of Game 1, Laud overextends but hits an ultra-fast dashback power shield nair. But just like he did so many times against Dreffen, Rick answered right back with this beautiful jab run-off double jump down air. Almost PPMD-esque, which caught even Laud by surprise. Still working from behind, Rick continued channeling his inner PP with this ridiculously threatening movement, eventually catching Laud leaving shield with laser down tilt to bring Game 1 to last stock. Laud power shields a laser, then meets Rick at the top platform with a call-out fair. After misjudging the edgeguard, Laud hits yet another power shield nair to take Game 1. But there were still more where that came from. Here, Laud power shield bears Rick off stage, clips the double jump, and nets an early kill. Later on, Rick gets a grab but can't reach with dare, giving Laud the opportunity to punish hard. He positions incredibly well to cut off several of Rick's intended escape paths to extend his Game 2 lead. He would end up taking the game rather comfortably. And Game 3 wasn't much different. Rick still played well, but he simply ran into the better player, and there's absolutely no shame in taking home 4th place at an event as stacked as House of Paign 19 was. Rook took out a ton of impressive players and should be a force to be reckoned with this weekend at House of Paign 20. But this would mean we were heading into losers finals. With Boyd waiting in grands, there was so much riding on the outcome of this set. Either player would still be favored to win the tournament after getting to grands, but doubly so for Laud, who would have a cakewalk through grands against Ice Climbers. Yet the Michigan Fox main may now have had something to prove after being upset. Laud took an early lead in game 1 of the rematch, but KJH fought his way back and regained the lead with this cheeky up smash. Finally, KJH punishes a whiffed float cancel fair with dash attack up air to take game 1. KJH actually has a video on YouTube where he talks about the best moves for Fox, and he puts dash attack in the top 5. I would definitely recommend that and all of KJH's other YouTube content. Game 2 on FD was quite close throughout, and KJH did a great job getting chip damage while mostly avoiding being chain grabbed. In the end, Laud pulled a bomb that didn't connect but scared KJH into the corner. KJH makes it back but is hard read by Laud's pursuit, taking damage but narrowly escaping death. Laud was then forced to air dodge well above the stage and attempted to weave around but couldn't avoid KJH's up smash. And that was game 2. Laud did elect to go to FD for game 3 as well, and this time he created more chain grabbing opportunities to win pretty comfortably. And while Laud was now on the board, he was going to have to win 2 straight games against KJH on Stadium in order to advance to grands. A tall order for any floaty man, really. And the game went about as expected. KJH had a small yet growing lead throughout the match, and by Laud's last stock, KJH really turned it up, abusing the stage for all it's worth to take the set 3-1 and earn his rematch in grands against Boyd. And without further ado, let's go. Grand finals of one of the most stacked House of Paigns of all time comes down to this rematch. Boyd has wobbled his way past the very best species the Midwest has to offer, but could he beat the best a second time? Or would KJH turn it up and transcend Boyd's skill level as was originally anticipated? As you can see, KJH started out hot, already significantly better than game 1 of their winner's set. And he almost took Boyd's second Nana here, but Boyd's dash attack was just in time to save her. And this was a big deal because moments later, Boyd would secure this wobble to catch right back up. And another. Nevertheless, KJH kept fighting and was able to bring it back in this manner, back airing Sopo all the way off the ledge. No way that Boyd's going to be able to make that back, and all of a sudden, KJH has the lead again for about 5 seconds. But KJH, still with 1 stock left, shakes it off. He's isolated Nana, down smashes into F smash, and there's no coming back from that. And KJH in a great position here, and just as I say that, hate to see that happen, but like it or not, Boyd is now 2 games away from winning the entire tournament. For game 2, and unlike most games between the two so far, Boyd actually took an early lead by getting one of the most right place, right time wobbles I've ever seen in my life. KJH would play from behind for most of the game, and once he did finally catch up, Boyd converted a wobble off of this double up air trap from 0%. But as unfortunate as that might have been, KJH would find a stroke of good luck to completely offset that wobble with a 0 to death of his own. And fortunately for him, he was able to outlast Boyd in this one, taking game 2 and evening up the set count for now. And you know where we're going. Here, KJH succeeds in killing Nana, but burns his double jump in the process. He ends up dying at 6% because of it to Boyd's Sopo to go down a half stock. What's more is for the ensuing stock, Boyd's Sopo went dead even with KJH. That is, until he pulled ahead and took yet another Fox stock with Sopo. But despite having taken 2 stocks straight with Sopo, Boyd still wasn't done yet. At high percent, he lands a grab and makes it hurt. Say what you will about wobbling, but Boyd is and has been outplaying KJH in the neutral for the past several stocks. Now, Boyd's Sopo would finally go down at this point, but KJH would have to play near perfectly for even a shot at winning game 3. And unfortunately for him, he wouldn't. Boyd was now 1 game away from winning a tournament with 166 entrants, with 7 top 100 players. And what a start for Boyd for possibly the last game of the entire tournament. 2 wobbles, and he finds himself up about a stock and a half. KJH tried to keep up, but he just couldn't engage without falling right into one of Boyd's traps. And after a short scramble here, Boyd would find another down smash to go up 3 stocks to 1. KJH was now on his last stock of the tournament, and Boyd was 1 grab away from glory. But KJH wasn't done yet. He separates the climbers, knocks Nana off stage, but brilliantly target switches Boyd right when he least expected it to get a relatively low percentage kill, and if you're trying to make a 3-stock comeback, that's a hell of a way to get it started. Moments later, KGH shines Boyd off stage, an amazing opportunity, but gets clipped by side B with no jump, up being back to stage and right into Boyd's grasp. And that would do it. House of Paign 19 would be won by an Ohioan for the very first time. Boyd with a tournament win comparable to Captain Smucker's now famous victory at Philadelphia's The Gang Hosts a Smash tournament over Crush and Zane, of course. And what an unbelievable event, unbelievable results. Boyd was now on the map. And I actually had the honor of interviewing him immediately after his win. Check this out.
My friend, how are you doing?
Welcome.
That's right. Boyd wins the entire tournament, double eliminating KJH, and the first thing he does afterwards is sit down and tell me I'm welcome. And to be clear, I did feel quite welcome to have witnessed such an historic Midwest Melee event. The stream would end soon after I had a pretty interesting conversation with Mewtwo King, actually, about a ton of different things, which was really fun. And that, my friends, was House of Paign 19. Now, as crazy as that tournament was, I ultimately decided to make this video just because I truly think this weekend's event has the potential to be even better. Set 4.5 years after the original and first iteration, House of Paign 20 is shaping up to be the biggest yet, so if you're not already planning on being in attendance, you won't want to miss the action live tomorrow on twitch.tv/melee everyday. For the rest of this video, I'll be talking about those most likely to win tomorrow and giving my predictions for this weekend's top 8. I actually did something similar in my last video for an Arcadian held in my hometown of Youngstown, Ohio, and my predictions were surprisingly good. But once you're done watching, I'd love to hear who you think is going to win House of Paign 20. So, like, comment, subscribe, do all the jazz, do the thing. Thank you. Now, nearly all top players attending are extremely familiar with one another and, in fact, have played each other multiple times in recent months, giving us a lot to speculate on. To start, I want to talk a bit about some honorable mentions I have for top 8. Again, there's more than 10 top 100 players that are going to be in attendance, which is crazy. So, not all of them can make top 8. Here's who I think will end up getting 9th, around there. To start, I want to point out Kels. He's actually one of just a handful of players who have been ranked top 100 every single year since MIOM started the list in 2013. And Kels will be back to represent his hometown of Chicago. He's been remarkably consistent to have been ranked in the 50s for 4 of the 6 years that we've been doing these rankings, but his current rank of 73 is the lowest he's ever been. Once known as the King of Chicago, Kels is also a 2-time back-to-back champion of House of Paign 9 and House of Paign 10 back in 2016. And he has attended a few House of Paign since then, but as the series has progressively drawn bigger and better talent, Kels has yet to replicate his earlier results. In January, he did have a less than stellar performance in his hometown at Hold That L, where he lost to PRZ and NMW, but even more recently, he had a very respectable 33rd place finish at Genesis 6. So Kels strikes me as a player that's more than capable of doing as well as about 5th this weekend, but I wouldn't bet on him making top 8 over some of the other heavy hitters we'll soon be discussing. Next up on the list is actually Prince Abu. He's my other honorable mention, and he's no stranger to the Midwest scene. He's actually a Michigan native like KJH, but became a forefather of modern-day OSU Melee during his time as an undergraduate at The Ohio State University. Now, starting in 2016, Prince Abu had been ranked the world's second-best Puff player for 2 years straight, peaking at the 38th spot in the world in 2017. And man, I still remember watching EVO 2K17 live with a group of OSU Melee guys and witnessing him upset Plup. I mean, it was just crazy. But getting back to this weekend's event, I believe it will be Abu's 3rd House of Paign. And notably, he secured 2nd place at House of Paign 15 just over a year ago, beating AbsentPage in winners finals. Now, Abu has dialed back his activity in the scene considerably ever since having begun med school, which is totally understandable, and indeed he has attended considerably less recent major tournaments than most of the other top players in attendance this weekend. When he does enter events, Abu generally does very well, like when he brought None all the way to Game 5 at Show Me Your Moves 19, Champaign's other tournament series. More recently, he actually won Kilroy Volume 4, beating Rick, Reeve, and Dreffen twice in the process. That being said, he fell to Michael in a Game 5 set late last month at Chicago's Hold That L. So while it's clear that Prince Abu is still capable of great things at a high level, he appears less likely to make top 8 than his peers when looking at both quantity and quality of results. Furthermore, he's likely going to have to deal with at least one of several foxes who regularly play and beat Michael. I like Prince Abu for 9th this weekend. And now we're getting into my picks for top 8. So for 7th, I'm going to actually have Rick. And, you know, if you've watched the video to this point, you've seen just how much of a monster Rick is. I mean, he's Indiana's highest ranked player for nearly 3 years running. And he's recognized as the 82nd best Melee player for 2018, which amusingly is precisely one spot down from his 2017 ranking, a testament to his consistency. He's been a top 5 Fox in the Midwest for as long as I can remember, and he's attended, I think, more House of Paigns than pretty much anybody else we're going to be talking about. This is at least his 8th House of Paign, and notably, he got 2nd at House of Paign 12 over Michael in early 2017. In September of that year, Rick had perhaps one of the most impressive performances that we'll be talking about at Champaign's Show Me Your Moves 18. Although he actually got knocked in losers earlier than expected, his determination led him past Oh Really, PRZ, Cal, Reeve, KJH, Kels, and Captain Faceroll. All of them, before finally losing to Mike Hayes in grand finals for 2nd place. An absolutely nutty losers run. I mean, I watched it live and it just still blows me away to this day. To finish 2017, Rick actually got 4th at House of Paign 15 by beating Cal and SK92, pretty good. 2 months later, he did even better by making winners finals by besting Just Joe and Dreffin at House of Paign 16. During next month's Full Bloom 4, he earned a stellar 13th place, in part by knocking Michael out of the losers bracket, and by now we know just how well Rick did at the most recent House of Paign installment. And though he's undoubtedly capable of great things, he's going to have his work cut out with him with so many other top players in attendance, so I've got him at 7th place this weekend. My other pick for 7th is, I'm going to go with Michael. And of all the New Age puffs grinding to try and catch up to Hungrybox, Michael has really emerged as 2018's 2nd best puff main, despite him having been completely unranked the year before, which is miraculous. Michael's long been known in the Midwest as one of our region's best puffs, and elsewhere for his netplay prowess, especially around the time when netplay really started getting popular. But last March, he took 1st place at the National Melee Arcadian, beating Bananas, A-Rookie, and Forrest twice along the way. Last September, he did attend Champaign's Show Me Your Moves 19 and earned a cool 7th place by beating None. So impressive. And in December, he again beat Bananas and also Rishi before losing to Hacks at Don't Park on the Grass. And while Michael did get upset in winners of Hold That L last month by fellow Chicago and Oh Really, he did edge out Prince Abu and PRZ before losing to KJH at that same tournament. So Michael is yet another talented player capable of probably winning the entire event, honestly, and it's clear he's earned his current ranking as the 2nd best puff player in the world in my mind. But just like Prince Abu, Michael will likely run into any of a number of highly technical fastballers that specialize in beating puffs. So I've got him at 7th place. Moving on to 5th place, I'm going to go with Zamu, one of the hometown heroes of Champaign. I mean, he could easily be described as the poster child of the scene. He's grown up in the scene, and he's risen from being a rising local Fox main on their PR to now being recognized as not just Champaign's best, but also the world's 78th best player. Unsurprisingly, this will be at least his 6th House of Paign, and he could have attended more than that. He said that the first couple he went to had a different tag, but he had a great showing at House of Paign 15 in late 2017, where he beat 2 of Chicago's best in Just Joe and Michael to tie Dreffin for 7th place. And even more impressively, he attended House of Paign 17 nearly 1 year ago and got 4th place. He beat Kels in winners and then knocked out the defending House of Paign champion Iori in losers quarters, which was really impressive, I think. Zamu had a fantastic summer last year as well. He got 2nd place at Indiana's Smashville 7, beating Red, Dreffin, and Michael in the process. And he also scored a really good win over Ginger last summer at Smash and Splash 4. And just a few months later, he took yet another set over Ginger, along with some wins over Kels and Bobby Frizz at Champaign's Show Me Your Moves 19 for 4th place. So while Zamu has proven himself out of region, he's also shown so much potential with home field advantage. I'm not sure that there's a single player in attendance this weekend that Zamu's incapable of beating, and I really think he's much better than his rank currently indicates, and for that reason, I've got to put him at 5th. Also at 5th place is another technical Fox main, and the first of 2 attendees being flown out this weekend, none other than the one and only Hacks Money. Hacks is now ranked the highest he's been since 2015 when he was 19th in the world, which is so exciting. Much to the delight of his loyal fan base, Hax's results and activity seem to indicate he's largely overcome obstacles that once restricted his ability to compete. Nowadays, he really seems about as comfortable on the box as he once was with the GameCube controller. Now, I am openly admitting my bias, as I've been a fan of Hax Money all the way back to when he was basically the Michael Jordan of Falcon mains, but in an attempt to be objective, I'm going to put him 5th, and here's why. At Don't Park on the Grass, Hax scored amazingly relevant wins on not 1, not 2, but 3 of this weekend's other top competitors. He 3-0'd AbsentPage to make top 32 winner side, and after edging out Michael in a Game 5 set, he later scored another 3-0 on KJH in losers 8ths. These fairly recent wins on 3 of Hax's toughest potential opponents this weekend bode extremely well for the New York native. The former Falcon main did have a more lukewarm performance at Genesis 6. He dodged Mango thanks to Magi's stunning upset in round 2 pools, but after having won that set, he lost his next 2 sets to PPU and 2 Saints. At the Script 2, this actually is probably my biggest concern for Hax. It stems from this tournament because we saw Hax mysteriously disqualifying himself completely out of top 64 right after clearly winning all 8 sets in his round robin pool from the day before. So according to somebody on Reddit, and I don't know how credible that means, but supposedly the commentators on the stream said that he just wasn't feeling 100%, and that actually on Reddit, it prompted a surprisingly civil discussion regarding a perceived growing trend of top players DQing and the potential reasons for it. But nevertheless, as far as I can tell, there's no other public info available regarding his decision. Now, Hax isn't the only person we'll be discussing that has self-DQ'd in recent memory, but due to his history of issues with his hands and insomnia, Hax's DQ could be particularly worrisome. And believe me, as a fan of Hax Money and the game of Melee itself, I wholeheartedly hope Hax is able to bring his A game to House of Paign 20. His Don't Park results show that this could very well end up being Hax Money's tournament. But if I were putting money on it, I'd put him at 5th place. Moving on to 4th place, and known as an early adopter of Sheik's reaction tech chases, Faceroll ended the 2018 season with his highest rank yet, and he is the second of 2 players being flown to the event. Head TO Blendtech shared that, "We always knew we were going to fly out Faceroll eventually, and this House of Paign timing worked out well for him. He kind of grew pretty close to the Champaign scene. We roomed with him at Nationals and talked to him a lot since a lot of us knew him when he was still in Chicago. He's also at the perfect ranking where top 8 is going to be very interesting, and I totally agree with that. In terms of major tournaments, Faceroll has attended just 3 since last November, fewer than most of the competitors being discussed. When we look at Shine, he did take sets over Rick and also Duck. Now, I'm slightly less impressed by the Duck win, knowing how heavily the matchup favors Sheik, but it's a very respectable win nonetheless. Faceroll did go on to lose Game 5 sets to both SFAT and Gatsu for 17th place. Those are respectable losses. A few months later, Faceroll actually attended Utah's Game Tyrant Expo and scored huge wins on both AbsentPage and Ginger, both of whom will also be in attendance this weekend. And even more recently, Faceroll went to Don't Park on the Grass, where he was able to beat Moki, Squid, Nun, Cawmaster, and Spud, which is really impressive. And as much as my heart wanted to put Hax Money in the 4th spot for this list, Faceroll has just been consistently great for such a long time that I couldn't justify putting this Sheik any lower than 4th. But okay, we're in the top 3, and for 3rd place, I'm actually going to go with KJH, recently sponsored by Halo Klein Gaming, and again, arguably the Midwest's very best Fox main. He's going to be attending his 3rd straight House of Paign, and if you've been following, he's actually been in grand finals of both of the past 2 series installments, taking sets from Cobb, Rick, Zamu, Ginger, and Laud along the way. And although KJH did finish 2nd at both events to AbsentPage and Boyd, respectively, he's undoubtedly one of the clear favorites to win it all this time around. He's been incredibly active, beating Squid and IBDW before losing to Hax Money at Don't Park. At Genesis 6, he did get upset by Sharks in round 2 pools, but he still made top 64 and actually avenged his loss at House of Paign 19 by decisively 3-0ing Boyd in losers for 49th. Just afterwards, he fell to IBDW for 33rd place. He also attended Hold That L, and he knocked Michael out of losers there. He did end up losing to AbsentPage for 4th place. So, though I wouldn't be surprised to see KJH in his 3rd straight House of Paign Grand Finals, I project him to make it to losers finals this time around and take 3rd place. For 2nd place, Champaign is very happy to once again welcome AbsentPage, well known as one of the most active Melee players, period, nowadays. I mean, 2 weekends ago, he attended the Script in MDVA, and then last weekend he went all the way to SoCal to play at an Irvine local with Faceroll. And of course, this weekend he'll be all the way back in the Midwest. So knowing this, it's no surprise that he's actually attended 3 of the past House of Paign installments, including House of Paign 17, where he played almost exclusively Dittos through the entire winner's bracket, taking out Champaign's best Foxes and practice partners Shabo and Zamu, before double eliminating Fiction in 2 Game 5 sets for first place. AbsentPage did return to Champaign the very next month for possibly the most stacked House of Paign ever. That was House of Paign 18, and though he didn't get to play Cyrox or Michael in attendance, he tore through Ginger, Crush, and KJH twice to win the event from winner's side yet again, becoming the back-to-back champion. So yet again, he took the gold by dominating a boss rush of high-level fast faller Dittos. And, of course, we just discussed how AbsentPage beat KJH again at Hold That L. So this is really exciting. House of Paign 20, it's going to be the first installment that he's attended since he's won the past 2 he's been at. So he's also the highest ranked entrant and the 2-time defending champ. He strikes me as the clear favorite to take the event, honestly. The real question is who, if anybody, will be able to deny him from winning his 3rd straight House of Paign, and how am I not putting him in my first position? Well, as it turns out, in my opinion, that player's name is newly free agent and top Falco main, Ginger. This might not be what you're expecting unless you watched MDVA's The Script 2 recently, because Ginger had an absolutely remarkable performance that makes me confident that he is most likely to take it all this weekend. So he actually got upset in pools 0-2 to Mog, which is a Peach main, but he truly harnessed his inner Mango to stage one of the most impressive losers runs in recent memory, going through Majursk, Vist, Waddle, Holiday, Junebug, Stango, over Triforce, IBDW, and in losers finals, and last but certainly not least, AbsentPage. Well, that's pretty darn good for 40th in the world, wouldn't you say? Really, the mental fortitude to defeat so many strong opponents after suffering a frustrating and unexpected loss was inspiring to witness. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that, and you would know this if you watched the event, Ginger went on to take Zayn in Grands to Game 5, in large part thanks to an incredible comeback Game 3 win on FD. Again, I'm quite confident that AbsentPage is going to be in Grand Finals one way or another. Given this, Ginger's other recent set win over AP at Don't Park really solidifies my decision. He won that set 3-1. So, much like Zamu, I think Ginger has quickly yet assuredly outgrown his current ranking. The Michigan Bird has been consistently exceeding expectations and giving Falco mains everywhere a reason to believe in 2019. I do truly hope you're all as excited as I am to witness this exciting and historic Midwest Melee event, and if you're going, I'll see you there. Otherwise, catch me and other talented commentators on the Melee every day and Fighting Illini broadcasts live on Twitch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your projected top 8. And thanks so much for watching.